So let's dive into German Expressionist filmmaking. So number one, the style is very similar to the painting. You're going to see lots of harsh lines. You're going to see sharp, angular features. You're going to notice a kind of claustrophobic use of mise en scène. There's that word again, mise en scène. And I've been waiting for this third video to really launch everything about it at you, because I've said it a couple times now, but I've never really described it perfectly for you, because I was hoping that you might explore what that could be yourself. But if you haven't yet, I've got your back. So the mise en scène is everything you see inside the frame. It's the physical production. It is the costumes, the set, the props, the actors, the makeup, the lighting. So all of that is mise en scène. And when we talk about that, we're talking about the physical production. And you've seen those paintings, so you know that's going to move into the film making. You're going to notice lots of shadows and chiaroscuro lighting.
Chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro. Chiaroscuro.
Chiaroscuro lighting is when you have just a couple of beams of light cutting through the darkness, which creates a mise en scène that is darker, more mysterious. Mysterious, potentially like the brain itself and the unconscious, and how that works. You're also going to notice this acting style. It's similar to what we've seen in early cinema acting, but you feel these actors are much more in a kind of trance state because they're trying to bring out this unconscious experience that is, on some level, wordless. And so the actors' acting feels grotesque. And it's helped out with this grotesque use of makeup, and even costume helps with this grotesquerie. German Expressionist filmmaking starts after World War I. And I need to talk to you about this so you understand the mindset of the German Expressionist filmmakers. Germany lost World War I. The reparations were severe. There's lots of poverty.
Here we have the movie Faust, directed by Murnau and produced by the UFA studio. I find Faust to be very telling of Germany at the time of its making in 1926. Faust here is pictured doing alchemy, but this portrayal of Faust, he is searching for a cure for the plague that has engulfed his town. He feels upset by the sickness that he sees all around him, and he wants to help. Faust is a classic story of the battle for a soul by heaven and hell. Here we see Faust, who's at his wit's end, going towards the crossroads. The crossroads is a place where a decision must be made. In this, because he has reached such great frustration, he calls on the devil for help. In this mise en scène, and the one we saw previously, you can see how the trees are extremely gnarly, grotesque-like. Notice the lighting, it's very chiaroscuro, dark. I also think it's interesting that there's this haze over the entire mise en scène. And we'll see the same haze
with this picture of Mephisto who's battling after Faust's soul.
And notice the contrast in light. I would say that German Expressionist films are extremely high contrast. And as we look now to heaven, we see this archangel clearly with much more light. But there's this miasma, this fog over the entire piece. And it keeps coming back again and again. And that fog we could compare to the emotions, the poverty, the illness that is overtaking Germany itself at this time. These upcoming frames that we're about to see is a picture of Faust town, and notice how they are dagger-like. It reminds me of a medieval torture bed, and it hits all the hallmarks of German Expressionist filmmaking in terms of a landscape pictured on film. And even here where we're outside, having fun, at a fair, in the town, notice how there are moments of light, but there's lots of shadow and darkness as well. This is German Expressionist classic style.
So you start wondering, well, making films is expensive, so how did these German artists make films? Well, it's rather simple. Banks are closing. Inflation's going up. You go to a bank, you grab a loan, you come back the next year to pay it off, and guess what? Your loan's kind of not there anymore. It's a beautiful thing. So UFA and Dekla, two of the large German Expressionist filmmaking studios, are able to buy lots of property. And so this gives them the ability to create films. With these loans, you can buy film stock, cameras, lumber for your sets, fabric for your costumes. You can pay people. And not only are there financial means there for you because of this awful thing that's happening in Germany where, you've probably seen the picture in your history class where Germans have wheelbarrows loaded with money to get some bread. The government is also supporting the German Expressionist filmmakers. Think about what films do for people. It's escapism. Life in Germany is really challenging. And so film might just create some ease. So you even have government support. And this allows the German filmmakers to flourish. And with that money, you can make lots of prints of your film, and they can go abroad. And in this country, the moment we saw German Expressionism, people who create taste, as I've said in previous videos, found German Expressionist films to be art. Because they look like art. They look like paintings. The architecture is incredible. The acting is so different. Film is starting to be taken seriously as an art form in the minds of the people of the United States.
I'm bringing us back to Nosferatu to make a very important point. Notice how the monster, Nosferatu, who is Dracula, is slowly walking towards his victim like we see in horror films made today, and we know he will get his victim. If we think of German Expressionism as part of the film family tree, out of German Expressionism comes horror, the psychological thriller, the film noir, the neo-noir. Tim Burton bases a lot of his style on it, and with The Joker, which I've decided to pull some film stills from, I'm going to show you how this style translates to today's filmmaking. You will notice in this very first still how the space is claustrophobic. You'll notice that all the spaces in The Joker feel uncomfortable. They do not feel balanced. We'll never get symmetry. Even Joaquin Phoenix dieted heavily to make his body grotesque. I want you to notice the wallpaper. I'm going to make a point about it at the end of this conversation about the Joker. Notice the lighting here. It's shadowy. It has that chiaroscuro feel. Notice that the space is not balanced. A lot of times directors and cinematographers use light to create these weird, abstract, geometrical forms. This is our last film still, and you'll see that there's this square, or use of squares. To me, it's an abstract cage. And one of the things German Expressionism did was give us this idea that man and woman are hemmed in by society. And filmmakers have chosen to use bars or squares to represent cages or jail cells that man and woman sit in a modern society to express the troubles and the frustrations of living.
So with that said, let's summarize what you have experienced. So go ahead, take a pause here, and think about everything you've learned so far. You probably came up with painting influences other art forms. You probably came up with this idea of the style of German Expressionism, what we'll see in the mise en scène, the harsh lines, angular features, claustrophobic spaces. You've probably come up with grotesque acting, grotesque makeup, grotesque costuming. And if you got all that, you're doing mighty fine. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I look forward to speaking with you about our next topic real soon. Bye-bye.